Hey, and thanks for tuning in to Coffee with Klingman, where we talk with some of the most interesting people I know over a good cup of joe. Today in the cafe, we have Jake Wertman, recording engineer, musician, and serial entrepreneur.
I love this cup, by the way.
I thought you would dig that.
Yep, that's perfect.
Isn't it nice?
Yeah,
Isn't it nice? It's actually that was a free gift from a church in
We need
Wyndham?
to record this stuff, dude.
Oh, it's already recording.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, sick. I was like, dude, what's going on? There's like perfect podcast banter right now.
I know, right? It's hilarious. That's why I dig it. I've been doing just start everything recording before anyone even pays attention.
Yeah, totally. No, that's great.
Yeah. Makes it a lot smoother anyway.
Yeah.
Letting you in all my little secrets.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Hey, you're welcome.
I'm going to steal your podcast from you. No,
Good. I was like, good luck.
yeah, no, I don't have the time for that.
Oh, for real. But since you did just break the ice,
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. So we have today Jake over here, my man Jake.
What's up, guys?
He is the inventor of the Savage Roaster.
Yes, sir.
He is a gold. I like him. He's pretty great. Yeah. So we are brewing up some today. So.
Which I recently was introduced to the AeroPress from one of my friends, and for sure the best cup of coffee I've ever had in my life.
Oh, it's so nice.
Which was crazy because I roast coffee, so you would think I would know literally everything, but I don't.
It's funny. I had no idea about the AeroPress, what it was. No idea it existed until like 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. And then when someone showed it to me, I was like, what the hell? Why has this not been in my life sooner? Mm-hmm. And it's so easy and convenient. There's that. Just do a quick little stir. And then, my favorite part. You can just watch that go down. It's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
There. And just like that. Boom. You got yourself a little shot.
Oh, like Americano style.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's how I've been doing it.
Okay.
And I have been loving it.
Okay.
I'm going to go chuck this.
Okay.
There we go. And make myself a cup.
Nice.
Enjoy, man. This is your own cup of coffee.
I know. That's so cool.
Right.
Like I said before we started, I love trying my own products. So.
Oh, it is amazing.
Yeah.
Right. If you can't stand behind your own product, like, what's the point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I tell everyone that it's you have to believe what you're trying to sell. You know, and I don't even feel like with coffee, I'm not even trying to sell it. I just want people to try it because I'm like, dude, this is wicked good. You know.
For real. And I, as a barista for like 7 years, or almost a decade actually, I can attest it is delicious coffee.
Yeah.
It is absolutely fucking delicious.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Just like that. And boom.
I love the Americano style, dude.
Oh, dude. Oh, it's just so smooth. I make myself this every morning at like 4 or 5 when I get up for school. Every morning. And it is the best thing, my favorite part of the day.
Yeah.
Just like that. Bam.
Boom. That's so cool, man.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, man. So yeah, I mean, you and me go way back too.
Oh, dude, for real. For real. This is the kid who was giving me drum lessons back when I was real bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was God. That was like 2 years ago at least. Yeah.
Yeah, at least. Damn. But I have to say, like, you're a really good teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, seeing you move all throughout the music industry doesn't surprise me. All the connections you made and, like, how you went about that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and I think you know, as far as music goes, it's really about just going out and supporting people, you know, and trying to help people. I think what destroys music is when people get selfish about their success and they don't want to be, you know, they don't want people to know like how they did it, you know, or whatever, you know. And for me, it's always like I want to see everyone succeed. All my friends, even people that like I'm not even close with, I want to see everyone succeed. I just think as a human, like that's kind of like what I feel like my responsibility is. So I mean, I think that it's insane to not try to help people, you know?
I completely agree. But it's this weird thing. So in the music industry, there's a handful of people that are like that. And the people who usually have that attitude win. Because like they're the people who are helping others. And when others make it, they bring these people up. It's this win-win situation. In business, it's like the exact opposite. It's complete cutthroat. Do you think, is it because a business is more of a like one-sum game? Like whoever wins takes, at least the majority of it not takes all, but takes the majority, where music is more of an intention thing where people have a lot more attention to give?
I think, especially for a lower tier band, I mean, you're not really making much money, you know? Like, I understand if, like, a band that's going out making a ton of money when they play shows, like, kind of wants to keep some stuff hush-hush. I get that. But, I mean, when you're making $75, $100 at a show and you're, like, not trying to help people, like, I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know? Especially when, you know, all you have to do is just book a tour. You can book a tour by yourself. You literally don't need anything.
No.
Now, I'm not saying like you can get on a sick tour by yourself, but you can at least get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's just about getting out there and just doing it. And, you know, I've booked plenty of my own shows, helped book tours, and
this ties into something that, so when you and I were talking about before we started recording, was this, everyone has this fear that, oh, if they try something new and they fail, which inevitably you will, because no one is great at something when they start. No one, doesn't matter who you are, is that everyone will judge them and it'll be this whole big like judgment party on them. And they're terrified of that. So do you think like that has a large aspect and a large thing to play as why some bands don't make it, that have the potential, that are like local or regional, don't push forward just because they're afraid to try?
Probably, yeah. And I think a lot of it, I think, has to do with just not caring about other people's opinions. Because you're going to get clowned on no matter what. No matter what you do, my coffee business is going to get clowned on. Your podcasting is going to get clowned on. But you just have to go, all right, fuck it. I don't care. You know what I mean? I think people are scared to have that mentality. Like they care about what their peers think so much. And I think that your peers will truly respect you if you just say, I don't care. I'm just going to do it. You'll get judgment at first. And then later on, they're going to ask you, like, how's it going? What did you do to do it? When I moved to Atlanta to play in my first touring band, moved across the country to go play in a band when I was 19.
I literally moved to Texas to do the same thing.
Yeah. All the people that I worked with were like, you're fucking crazy.
Yes.
You're leaving your, like, a cozy job at what I thought at 19 was cozy, making $10 an hour making pizzas, but
for 19 that's pretty cozy.
Yeah, totally.
Take
you
home
know,
a pizza
I'm
at
still,
night,
yeah, exactly. I'm living at my mom's still. I'm good. But I was out there for like over a year, and it didn't end up working out in the end, but I traveled the whole United States.
Yeah.
Everywhere, man. It was crazy. And I'm like, the whole time I'm like sleeping in the back of a van, and I'm like, man, I'm just this fucking loser from Portland. How did I get here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
that fucks with you, man.
Yeah.
Like when you're all the way on the other side of the country and you're like living in a van, you're eating whatever you can find at the local shopping mart or gas stations, and you're like, how the fuck did I get here?
Yeah.
Like in both the best and worst way.
Exactly. Yeah, I was about to say that. It's definitely a little bit of both. Yeah, it really taught me, and I'm super thankful for the lesson that it taught me, is if you really want to do something, you can do it. You're the only person stopping you. There's no one else on the planet that can stop you from doing something except for yourself. You're going to hear a lot of people going, no, don't do that. No, that's crazy, whatever. But that doesn't deter you. I failed so many times, dude. I felt like a fucking loser coming back home. Coming back home from Atlanta, I told everyone, I literally told everyone to eat shit and I left.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I did. And I came back home, swallowed my pride, took back my job that I originally had.
Same job.
That's
a lot of pride to swallow. Wow.
Same coworkers.
Yeah.
And you know what? After that, I still kept dreaming.
Yeah.
Still kept dreaming, man. I never stopped. I never want to. Because I think dreaming, like having big aspirations is like kind of like the inner child of a person, but you can take the adult life lessons that you've learned and cultivate something out of it. And that's where passion lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, for example, like the coffee thing, man, like I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it's an ever-changing market, and I love the fact that I can't get the same exact coffee 365 days a year. It's all going to be different
every single time.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really knows about it. Who isn't involved in the industry.
Yeah. It was funny. I had this conversation the other day. We were talking about like Starbucks, and they have like their signature roast. So I'm like,
it's literally different every single year.
Yeah, it's impossible. The crops change all the time, so it's like, to me that's exciting. That means that I will literally never stop learning, and that is something that I will just chase my tail for the rest of my life and love every second of it. You know what I mean? I'm like a dog. I'm like a dog outside.
Absolutely.
That's it, and. You know, the same thing goes with music, too. Like, that's an ever-changing market.
Yeah.
You
like,
know,
who would have thought rap and country would go together? This, like, hip-hop country thing that's came out here.
Yeah. But you know what? It's catchy as hell. Yeah. I hate that a part of me likes it. And I think a lot of people probably feel that way.
The majority of people feel that way.
I love it in the sense that it goes against everything that was supposed to be.
Yeah,
you know,
that should not have been a thing.
Exactly. It took the foundation of this is music, and they just went, nah, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
But I think that's so fucking cool.
It works so well. And you have bands like, to take this a slightly different direction, I Prevail and Issues, who've taken the pop hardcore genre and have actually blown up because of it.
Yeah, man.
It's this crazy idea. It's crazy.
Super crazy. But again, it's just, I bet what's the country rapper? It's Lil Nas X, right? That's his name?
Oh, God. I have no idea. To be honest, I don't know any of the country people.
Forgive me if that's wrong. I don't have it in my library, but when I hear it on the radio, I bob my head. But I think that was the first song he put out.
That's crazy.
And he just said, I'm going to fucking destroy the market. And I think that's so cool. And it's not for me. I don't like it, but I respect it. You are forced to respect that.
Yeah. Like the amount of pressure he must have felt
it's crazy.
when he released that.
Crazy.
Like
so crazy.
I couldn't imagine, because that goes so against the grain of everything that is traditional about either country and hip hop, rap. These are like opposite sides of the spectrum and very polarizing.
Yeah.
And everything that he did goes against everything that's involved in both of those markets, which is shocking. Like, I'm blown away.
And what I think is so cool about it is if you ask a majority of rap fans, what's your least favorite style of music? They'll say country.
100%.
So I think it's cool that he took that and was like, I want to see what happens. Like, it was very calculated. I will say that. And I think that's sick as fuck. Yeah. I think that's so cool.
It's insane.
You know, it's like, you know, if I'm, you know, driving my car and I see someone rocking an outfit that I'm like, I don't know what's going on with that, but I respect you for just fucking going out and doing it. I think that's sick.
Exactly.
I think it's so dope.
Exactly. And then you have like NF bringing this whole. Have you heard his latest album?
Mm-mm.
Or do you like NF?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, that's fair. He often gets compared to like a new Eminem. He apparently hates that comparison, but yeah, he's very, very emotional rapper. And have you seen the movie Us? It came out last year, I think.
I have heard of it, but I have not seen it. I'm not a huge movie guy.
Okay, neither am I, but my girlfriend is, so we watch movies. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a pretty good movie. But the soundtrack was super like dark and classical and very orchestra driven, dark. And NF's latest album he raps over like strings,
like Beethoven style strings.
Think that, but think very, very dark, and like very dark, very emotional. A lot of dynamic, tons of dynamic. So it works really well. But it's something where when you like look at it on paper or imagine it, you're like, that can't be right.
Totally.
But then you hear it and it's like, well, shit.
That's right.
That worked.
That's it. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, people need to stop being so afraid to go against the grain. And I think that's, where entrepreneurship is going. People just want to go against the grain.
100%.
And I think that's really cool. Like 20, 30 years ago, people were like, didn't want to hire people with tattoos.
Yeah.
And now those same people are like, I'm just going to fucking start my own business then.
100%.
So many of my friends have started up cool things and are just crushing it.
Yeah.
Crushing it.
You can do so much nowadays. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's really interesting how you're saying like how things are changing, and specifically within entrepreneurship, and how that's fueling entrepreneurship. And that actually makes a lot of sense because like you have, I want to say like 30 years ago, the whole idea, like a generation ago, the whole idea was you have to go to college.
Yeah.
Even up to about probably 10 years ago before
even
the
now.
internet. Yeah, it's like even now it's still a big thing, but it was much bigger before, right? Like everyone was pushing college. Like you have to go and you have to create this big career and work for this successful company and put in your time and hit your hours. And now everyone has looked at, and a lot of people are going against the grain. And I think you're right. I think that is fueling the entrepreneurship to say, you know what? Screw that. I can do my own thing. Mm-hmm. And then people are killing it.
And the thing that I think people have figured out, you can learn any trade just typing into Google.
It's insanity.
It's insane. So when people are like, man, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, you have every resource you could ever want in your hand.
Everything.
Anything. Literally anything. When I do a lot of like maintenance for apartment buildings and stuff on the side. And I am not like a super handyman. Like, that's just not me. But I've learned so much just being like, my boss will say, hey, you got to figure this out. And I go, okay,
That's
cool.
an amazing boss.
Yeah, he goes, hey, I'm not there. You have to figure this out.
I love that.
Yeah, and it puts you in a spot where in my mind I go, cool, I can't fail. And I just Google stuff, right? And it blows my mind when I fix something and it runs the way it's supposed to. I'm like, I did that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
It's crazy, man.
My family literally just redid their entire basement. And from stuff they hired a friend of ours to do like the put up sheetrock and stuff, or drywall. And then other than that, like they did everything, electrical, plumbing. They hired an electrician to connect it, and that was it, to make it legal. That was it. Everything else they just did themselves. YouTube. Like my older brother, he's very strange, and I love him to pieces for it. He's one of the most brilliant people I've ever met because he can take anything and completely take it apart and then put it back together as if it were brand new. He's doing that to a car right now, which is insane because of YouTube. And
people like that just make me think, because I'm like, as soon as someone's like, oh, I can't do this, like there's someone who is exactly like you, and they're doing it. Yep. Like Absolutely. When my car broke down, I was in Atlanta one time. This is actually a really funny story. I was delivering pizzas at the time, in between touring and trying to keep a roof over my head. And I was in the parking lot and my car just stopped working. And I was doing a bunch of Google searching and stuff, and I was like, oh, it must be the starter of my car. So I was like, all right, you know what? Like my car's already broken. I can't break it any more than it is right now. Hypothetically speaking. Yeah. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to try to fix my car. And replacing the starter is like easily one of the easiest things besides like putting air in your tire. But I was so excited that I did it. And the funny part of this story is that it was not my starter that needed to be replaced. Funny. It was my fuel pump gave out. And But all of the wire, because it was like an electrical fuel pump. So I had to get a master electrician to come in and rewire it, and I was like, well, I probably couldn't have Googled that, but like
medical stuff might be
the starter is fresh though. Like definitely don't go and Google like how to do open heart surgery or something. Like you should.
I'm sure there's tutorials, but you just don't do that.
I'm all set.
But
I just think people just need to just be okay with experiencing things and failing. Because I've learned everything that I know by failing a lot, man.
That's where literally the best people come from, is the people who are the most successful, is because they fail hundreds and hundreds of times. They fail over and over and over. And I totally don't want to get on a rant, but I'm gonna. So there's this idea that I have, or that I think, I don't remember what podcast I was listening to that started to talk about it, and it got me thinking. Life isn't terribly complex. It's actually really simple. It's difficult as hell. Like there are times where it's difficult as hell, but I personally don't believe life is terribly complex. If you want to get better at something, or if you're struggling in an area, or something isn't going your way, the reason it's not going your way isn't because it's difficult. It's because you haven't done it before.
Correct.
So exactly, if you do it 100 times, becomes that much easier. If you do it 1,000 times, all of a sudden it becomes second nature. And what was once so difficult is now second nature. And it's this whole idea that the more you fail and the more you go through that process, the better you'll get, and the better you'll be as a human, the better yourself you'll be.
Man, I wish that I had the first batch of coffee I ever tried to roast. Dude. Let me tell you what, that shit was awful. Terrible.
Really?
Awful.
I mean, that makes sense, but damn, it's come a long way then.
Okay, so the first time you ever tried to play drums.
Oh, it was hell.
Okay.
Oh my God. That's fair.
And this is another thing. I know you said we were gonna like brush on music, but I feel like we're talking about it a lot, which is fine. Yeah, it's fine. I don't care. But people, when they see a musician, they go, "Man, I just don't have that ability." And I will agree that I think that there is something in a human that makes them particularly good at certain things. However, I didn't just sit behind a kit and could just play, you know, like my God, absolutely not. I remember trying to play the most basic beat I possibly could for months. And I remember just getting so frustrated, but I just never stopped. And I think also with that is go for like what your passion is driven by. So I'm sitting here trying to learn like super basic like rock beats and stuff, and I was like, this doesn't feel like it applies to me at the time. And so I started learning like Disturbed songs and stuff. Yeah, I know. But I started learning like Disturbed songs, and it blew my mind when I sat behind the kit. I used to be in school. I would have my headphones on during like study hall, and I'm like tapping on my legs 100%. And stuff to the songs. And that's how I taught myself.
That's funny. Same.
Yeah. So, and then one day I was like, I'm going to go home, and like, if no one's home, I'm going to try to play this song. And I went home, got behind the kit, and I, at the time, was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just played this song. I'm sure it's fucking terrible. But
yeah, I feel that.
But the amount of like joy that gave me is what that spark never went away. It's like a pilot light, you know what I mean? It just never goes out. It's up to you to kind of fuel the intensity of it, you know? So I think, you know, if you want to do something, do it in the way that you want to do it. If there's not like a tutorial or strict way to learn how to paint. Just fucking paint. Do whatever you want. It doesn't matter, you know? If it sucks, try it again.
Yeah.
You still created something, and that to me is cool. You know?
That's amazing. And there's pretty much guaranteed to be a market for whatever you're making out there somewhere.
Yeah, or even just for fun too. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, you know, my girlfriend, she does painting, and she was painting some like really sick shit. And I'm like, dude, this is awesome. And she'd be like, I don't know if anyone would like it. And I was like, who gives a fuck if anyone likes it? If you like it, that's all that matters.
Exactly.
You know, she painted like this coffee mug on like next to a window looking outside, and it was sick. She's like, yeah, I don't like how like this came out. And I was like, but look at the whole fucking thing. You created something that didn't exist before you made it.
That is a crazy
Isn't that a crazy perspective? Same thing with the coffee, everything, man.
Literally.
Everything. This podcast.
Yeah.
You're creating something that has never been created before. Isn't that insane to think about?
That is blowing my mind right now.
Yeah.
But that is exactly what so much of the creative, so much of the art aspect is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so to tie right in with that, there's this idea that like you can never go back to a point before you knew someone. Like I can never in the rest of my life, like I met you, I can never for the rest of my life go to a point where I have not met you. I know you.
Yeah.
I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's relationally, it's a similar thing. But to creating something that has never been created before.
Yeah. All the time.
That's insane.
Isn't that crazy?
That is nuts.
If that doesn't fuel your passion,
That
I
is
don't know
nuts.
I don't know what would. If that doesn't make you stoked on what you're doing, then I don't know.
Nothing at that point.
Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
think of anything.
Yeah.
I am so at a loss for words. What the hell? That doesn't happen often.
Yeah, you know, I think that's the kind of stuff that I think about when I'm trying to do something. Is you're always creating. I think humans are meant to create. I mean, look at like how society's built up. If you told people 300 years ago that there'd be schools and cars and shit, they would be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the same thing if people from 300 years ago or 300 years in the future from now somehow could communicate with us and told us, hey, the world's going to be like this.
Yeah. We'd be
Most people would be like, fuck you.
100%.
Yeah, unless the world blows up or something. But
Exactly. It's about the only predictable thing we got going.
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Like right now talking on this podcast,
Yeah.
you are creating something that would have never existed if you didn't do it. Isn't that sick?
That is so... It's such a simple concept, but when you understand that, like when that clicks, it's like that spark you were talking about. It's you can't not get stoked on that.
Yeah. Same thing with music. Like all the songs that you write, all the paintings you draw, whatever it is, it didn't exist before you did it. You know?
There's so few things in this world that are like that.
And even you think about like a musician doing a cover of a song. How many covers do you know got massive on YouTube or whatever?
Oh yeah.
That song may have existed, but that version of it didn't.
Yeah.
And then there's 20 million people that would have never saw that.
It's true.
And that probably inspired 10% of those people to go try to do their own covers. And you're like fueling other people's things, you know? That's how it all works. When I drop off coffee, I'm on my bike, I just want to I want to hug people and be like, dude, go fucking smash your day. You know what I mean? Go be a fucking badass.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
And I take off. That's
amazing.
all I want.
That's amazing.
Here's your fuel. Here's a little fucking bullshit that I tell people, just some motivational stuff, and I'm like, go fucking
Go do it.
Go do it. Have the best day at work today. Anything.
That can change people's day.
It's crazy.
It's so incredible how like a little motivation, a little connection, a little human connection completely revolutionize someone's day.
It happens a lot in coffee shops.
Oh, all the time. That's why I love it.
And I'm sure you being a barista is like you get that on the other side, but I've walked into a lot of coffee shops and people are just bummed, or they're like, it's super busy and they're getting flustered, right? Yeah. And when you're in that headspace, you can't see, you're like, put yourself in a bubble that you can't see out of, right? And when I see that stuff happening, I'm just like, hey, over here, how's your day? How are you doing?
That makes...
And it's like, you kind of like pop their bubble and they like look around, they're like, oh shit, yeah, I'm alive, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's amazing.
Keep being alive. That's sick. You know what I mean? They go, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then you literally watch them just change path.
It's so funny. So, because I worked at coffee shop for like almost a decade, which I feel like I bring up in every episode, but that's fine. Watching people walk in and you'll see them glued to their phone or like getting super stressed on the phone. You can tell they're getting real anxious, and doing exactly what you said, coming from the other end, like just being like, yo, how's your day? Like, hey, hi, human.
Yeah.
And like saying, your outfit looks amazing.
Yeah.
Because they intentionally put on everything that they are wearing. It was an intentional choice. So pointing out and saying, you did a good job.
Yeah.
People love that shit.
Yeah.
Little things like that. And then you watch them leave and they're glowing. And it's amazing. It's one of the best feelings.
Yeah.
Outside of performing, it's like one of the best feelings.
Yeah. Like I love empowering people. I love when people come and talk to me. And I'm not like a guy that I will fully admit I don't know everything. Quite frankly, I probably don't even know that much. What I do know pretty well, I believe, is emotion and how people work. And I just want to see people just do cool stuff. That's it. I just want to see people, go paint. Yeah. Go build fucking buildings. Go pave roads. Like, whatever you think is so cool, your friends or family might be like, that's stupid. Even if you're like, I love building trash cans. I don't give a fuck what it is. If that's something that you're like fucking stoked on, just do it.
Go do it.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Because when you become successful at that thing, people are going to go, how did you do that? That's so cool. Right? Could you imagine your friend coming up to you and saying, hey, I want to start a trash can business. I want to make trash cans. You're going to go, like, okay. All right, buddy. Yeah, you've kind of like lost your marbles a little bit.
Yep.
That company goes to be successful. And that dude, who knows, is making crazy, innovative style trash cans that people just love. Or maybe they're super good for the environment or something like that, and then all of a sudden people will understand the vision that you were originally trying to portray, and they're gonna go, oh, I get it now. Yeah, I like this.
That exactly.
When I told people that I wanted to deliver coffee on a motorcycle, they were like, how are you gonna keep up with that? And I said, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that question, but I fucking love making coffee. Yeah. I love seeing people. I love riding motorcycles. Yeah. I'm going to do it.
Why not? It's actually hilarious. Whenever I describe you, I'm like, he is the most dudeliest dude you'll ever meet. Shows up.
I don't know about the dudeliest dude, but I appreciate this statement.
I'm like, he shows up at your house. He's got this big beard, this tiger tattooed across his chest. Shows up at your house on a bike and is like, here's your coffee. It's like, how can you not get more masculine and intense than that? And it's amazing.
And then I'm also like, hey, you look good today.
Yeah.
You look good I feel like the lion is, he's a very nice lion. You know what I mean?
That's as I've gotten to know you, that's been a distinction.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of comments about how there's this idea of like this hyper masculine, super like jacked, big beard and covered in tattoos, or this like very alpha, super strong dude, right? And you fit a lot of that. And so to show up and then be like, yo, I like your hair today, man. Yeah, to have like a human connection, you have more emotion than I think a lot of people do, or you show it and you know how to connect with people more than a lot of people do. Do you feel like any sort of disconnection there?
I don't feel disconnection because I'm not scared to show emotion. Like if I'm proud of someone, I'm going to tell them. Or if one of my friends is like going through a depression or something like that, I'm going to be there for him. I'm not going to say, oh, toughen up, man. It's fine. It's not fine. No. You're fucking upset. Let's talk about it. I'm here to give you advice.
Yeah.
I treat everyone, strangers, dude, I've sat with fucking people I didn't even know and talked to them about what they're going through and helped someone and never saw them again.
That's amazing.
But that's that's to me what it's about. And especially being a touring musician, man. I played a show in Michigan. This is one of my favorite stories ever. There was a band that was headlining the show, and they're like kids from high school, had like horrible gear, and like the drummer's kit was literally falling apart. Right?
Yep.
His snare stand was actually dismantling while he's playing because it was so old.
Hell.
So I ran up on stage while this kid's playing, and I held up his snare drum for his whole set. And then once their set was done, I ran back out into the crowd. Me and my band started telling people that, like encore, encore, encore. We got this band to do an encore, ran back on stage, held this snare drum for the encore. I gave one of the band members a pair of sticks because they were just like, you guys are the coolest, whatever. And probably like a month after that tour, I got a message on Facebook from the kid that I gave the sticks to. And he was like, yeah, my drummer, he hung them up on his wall. And I was like, what the fuck? And again, I'm thinking to myself, I'm just like a fucking loser from Maine. Like, how does that even happen?
Yeah.
But that's the thing is like, I'm not like, there was probably people in the crowd that were hating on that band and thinking they're fucking losers and they suck, whatever. I don't care about any of that. I care about those kids have heart and they're out here trying with what they have.
Yeah.
I think that's sick, and I'm going to support it, even if it means giving him a pair of sticks and holding up his snare drum and like tell him he's sick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all I care about. Because at one point, whether you realize it or not, someone did that for you.
100%.
Like when I was not good at drums, I'm sure people clowned on me all the fucking time. But there was those people who said, hey man, if you stick with it, you're going to get good at it.
Yeah.
Those were the people that I listened to.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether they were my friends or not, whatever. I didn't care. It just made me happy. That's all I follow.
Yeah.
If it makes me happy, I want to do it. If it doesn't make me happy, I'll stop.
Yeah. Really simple.
And that goes back to what you were saying about life too.
Yeah.
Just make it doesn't need to be as complex. And there's a lot of complex moments in life. And the best way to get through those, in my experience, is just try to simplify it. Don't play like I wish this or I wish that.
Yeah.
Say, these are the cards that I have in my hand.
Yeah.
What is the absolute best move that I can do with these right now? That's it. Then once you get through that, slowly figure out, okay, how do I get better cards in my hand if that's what you want? Yeah. Or how do I keep these cards? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all perspective.
That perspective is so key. So because you've developed this perspective, I imagine, over a lot of years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What has been some things that have helped you develop it? Just experience or?
Just constantly trying to push myself outside of my comfort zone. I dealt with, and still do, I dealt with like really crippling anxiety when I was younger, like getting out of high school. You're kind of like, in my eyes, I was like, man, I'm just like being kicked out into life and being like, all right,
yep.
We didn't really teach you anything, so have fun, It's like you can name the presidents, but like, how do you get a job?
Not a clue.
How do you do taxes? You have no fucking idea, right?
Not a clue.
And I remember
that always, yeah,
it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Right?
It's crazy.
So insane.
People are not ready for the real world
no,
when they get out of high school.
You have to go to college to learn how to do taxes. That's dog
Insane.
shit. That's bullshit. But So I let that rule my life for a long time. And again, it still does. And it's so funny, like, talking about this stuff. It always reverts back to like music and coffee somehow. So I used to like be terrified of just talking to people I didn't know, because I always had that voice in my head that was like, they're gonna think you're weird, don't fucking talk to them, don't talk to them, whatever. And this local coffee shop that I used to go to, I would always just try to force myself to have some sort of conversation. And I started off really, really basic, literally just saying, hey, before I ordered a cup of coffee. Because I would always be the guy that like, I sat at the counter and I'm like, kind of like curled up in a ball a little bit. You could tell that I'm just like fucking terrified to talk to this person.
Yeah.
And they're like, can I help you? And I'm like, coffee? Yeah, you know, that was me
100%.
ordering coffee. It was crazy. And so I just started by just going up to the counter, and I would force myself. I was like sweating and I would just force myself, just be like, hey. And they'd be like, hey, how you doing? I'd be like, good. Can I get a cup of coffee? And that's how I started.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then eventually I started working towards like, hey, how's your day going? And they'd be like, good. How's yours? I'd be like, good. Can I get a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I got comfortable. I like kind of taught myself like, all right, cool. I'm not going to like get fucking murdered if I say hi to someone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
Like you have those like,
It's literally a progression you have to make.
yeah. Yeah. So, and I think the hardest part, and this goes for a lot of things too, it's just taking that first step and finding your way to navigate through it. Because a lot of people are going to say, you need to do this, you need to do that.
Yeah.
What feels good to you. That's all that matters. It's your anxiety or your depression. That's all it is. It's not mine. It's yours. What do you wish you could do about it? Chances are usually when you wish you could do something about it, you can. And like, I don't believe in like, you know, I cured my anxiety, or I don't have depression anymore. I don't believe in that. Yeah. Dude, there's days that I don't want to leave the bed.
Yeah.
But I always push myself for something better. Always. I'm constantly doing that. And that's kind of like where I feel my salvation is. Like, I'm always trying to like one up myself. I basically just, if I'm, you know, roasting coffee and I'm like combining a bunch of different things and I'm like, all right, this is a 9. How do I get to a 10?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And that gives me that like satisfaction and that drive, you know what I mean? And yeah, I think forcing yourself into uncomfortable situations just to prove to yourself like it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I didn't die. That's great. And it's crazy that's the thought.
That's exactly what goes through everyone's mind. It's funny. I had a very similar situation, like life growing up as you. Was super, super introverted. When I graduated from high school, I was like, oh God, I have to talk to people. Like I went more than a week without talking to a single soul. Yeah. It's like me and my TV is my school. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need to talk to anyone. And I remember I got out of high school and I was like, okay, and then I went into college, and in my interpersonal communications class, I realized that my life was dominated by like 5 specific fears, like fear of rejection, fear of what others think, fear of the unknown, 2 others that I can't remember. And so for my final, I created exactly a similar thing that you did, a hierarchy for each fear of, okay, if I want to get over this fear, what's the first step? What's one thing that I could do today that I'm scared to do, but I think I could do? And it was literally, it was the same thing as you. I was like, go into the grocery store and say hi to the cashier. Yeah. That was literally my first step. And I was like, so I did it. And I realized they didn't like blow up at me. They weren't upset. The person behind me didn't think I was holding up the line. Like it wasn't a big deal. And then I was like, okay, I got to a point where I'm like, have one conversation with a stranger every day. And like you just slowly move forward. And I literally applied at Starbucks because I wanted to get better at talking to people.
Yeah.
Because I sucked at it. And I'm like, this is an atmosphere where you need that skill. And I'm bad at it. So I'm putting myself in that atmosphere.
Yeah.
Because my comfort zone is here. And where I want to be is out here. So I have to move towards it.
Totally.
And it's just that step by step. Like right now, I am it's this weird thing. I've come back to being very afraid of what others think.
Yeah.
And like this podcast is helping a lot within that. And I have like a whole program of like what I'm doing presently, step by step, to get over that.
Yeah.
And it's like that progression is so necessary.
Yeah. And yeah, like I said before, I just think it's all about like pushing yourself. Like I've never been on a podcast before. So having a microphone in front of me and talking at first was just like, oh, fuck. Hope I don't say anything fucking stupid. I probably have, but I mean, whatever. It's already said.
It's said, it's happened.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say so, but it said it's happened. If you have, it's fine.
But that's the thing. It's
exactly.
fine.
100% fine.
No one's gonna come in here with a gun and kill me because I said something stupid on
Exactly.
you. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
it's understanding that your mind, for reasons that I cannot explain, will create these scenarios that are just so insane when you say them out loud, but in your head they're so real.
So real.
Yeah, and especially touring, man. Like any touring musician out there, like my heart goes out to you because it's fucking hard out there, man. And I know everyone has like the cool guy persona and stuff, but like a lot of those dudes are like anxious messes.
100%.
But I think being able to like, whenever I toured with people, I'd always just try to talk. I just want to talk to people and connect.
Yeah.
Like someone, like if I was out touring with someone, it felt like they're feeling weird, or I got like weird, I'd be like, hey, are you good? You all right? That's it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it makes a world of a difference. Same thing between that and like someone working at a coffee shop or a grocery store. It's all about just like, how are you?
Yeah. Opening the world to
That's
others
it.
around you.
Yeah.
It's not just me in this world with my little iPhone and my worries and my stress. There's other people around here.
Totally.
And like opening your eyes to that.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing too is like, if you're taking these steps and there's a day where you're like, man, I can't today, then don't.
Yeah.
Take a day off. That's fine. If you want to just be fucking introverted, or you're feeling like way too anxious, or you're just in a rut that you just can't shake, understand that being in that place sucks, but it's okay. Like it's okay to be in that place. It's just at some point, I believe, and this is just me. I can only speak on what's worked for me.
Yeah.
I believe that you have to do your best to try to get out of it somehow.
Whatever your best is.
Anything, yeah. Even if your best is simply just saying, hey, that's it. Like that it doesn't need to be any more than that. Like some people are terrified of trying medications or going to therapy or whatever. They're scared of people judging them for therapy or like whatever. Like therapy, when I did it, was one of my favorite things on the planet. To have someone to have someone just sit across from you and just be like, tell me anything you want.
It's so liberating.
It's so liberating.
There's this weird stigma behind it, and or attached to it, but it is so freeing and just, like you can just relax, in a way that you can't, or you feel like you can't in the rest of your life.
Yeah, and I think the most important part of it was, for me, was it taught me how to navigate my mind. Like I kind of figured out how I was wired, and I was like, oh, okay. And I start taking all the like past traumas and stuff that you went through, and you're like, oh, I understand now. I get where this comes from and how I handled it. And now, like, I feel like I'm equipped with the proper tools, right?
Yeah.
And they're tools. You have to use them. It's not like you go to therapy and then you're you know, like you're fucking fixed, dude.
If only.
No way. I'm going to be a fucking mess of a human the rest of my life. But I want to be the best mess that I can be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I honestly feel like that should be something everyone should go through, everyone should have, is that therapy, or like that should be, how do I want to say this? I feel like that should be before you graduate high school, you should have gone through that. Because learning those skills of how to navigate your mind and how to judge, okay, this is what I'm feeling, this is why I'm feeling it, and is this really is this really how I'm feeling? Yeah. Yeah, because those three are three distinct things, even though they can get super blurry.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I don't even think it's necessarily like go to therapy and experience that. I just think it should be, you know, whatever sets your fire, you know, whatever you feel is your therapy. Drinking coffee, huge therapy of mine. Like, I love how like warm the cup of coffee is when I feel anxious. This is I love drinking coffee. And it's kind of funny because you would think it heightens, and this is why I say it's different for everyone. Because I know a lot of people, when they drink coffee when they're anxious, it just makes it worse. They get like, you know, like jittery and whatever. But for me, it calms me down because it's warm. Like, I drink my coffee black, so it's like bitter, and it's almost like getting like punched in the mouth, you know, a little bit, because you like take a sip, you're like, and you're like, you kind of like just go, oh shit, okay, you know, you kind of have that moment when you get out of like a panic attack, you know, you have that moment where like reality kind of clicks in, you're like, oh shit, I'm in a room on a podcast right now, like what the, you know what I mean, like that 100%. That kind of thing happens.
Absolutely.
So when I drink a cup of coffee, it kind of helps me with that, or like tea sometimes helps too, like stuff like just like hot liquids, I guess, like hot drinks. I love them. I love them. I'm drinking hot black coffee on 100-degree day. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? I get a lot. My friends make fun of me so bad for that, but I can't help it. It does the same thing for me no matter you know, no matter what it is. You know, it's just, you know, so I can't sit here and say this is the definitive way to cure. This is how you cure anxiety. Drink a hot black cup of coffee. It'll fucking cure you. No, that's what worked for me. Yeah. And that's my point with like medication, therapy, art, anything. It's what works for you. It doesn't matter. Be yourself. Yeah. You already exist. So it would be a shame for my personality to try to be like you. You know what I'm saying? You already you don't want two of you, right?
One of me is plenty.
Yeah. Trust me, same. Anyone who wants to be like me, fucking don't. You do not want this. But like you kind of like, it's almost like you take away from the world when you try to be someone else, in my eyes. You know what I mean? Like, I think that you should be whoever you want to be. It doesn't matter. Dude, there's people still doing circus stuff. It doesn't fucking matter what you do. It doesn't matter.
As long as you love it.
Yeah. And like, I think it's crazy when people get like, there's too much hate in the world, man. There really is. I think it's bullshit. I think it's toxic. And like, I've had my moments where I haven't been the best person on the planet, but I always, with that perspective in mind, I always try to support people, and I always I want people to feel accepted. I don't care where you come from. I don't care how you dress. I don't care what your personality is. If you are just being yourself, That's dope.
100%.
Do that. You know what I mean?
And everyone's longing for that acceptance, for that support. Every single person is longing for that. And like, if you're willing to give that, everyone becomes better around you.
Yeah. And
isn't that the point?
Yeah. And I think it's ironic that it's like you have to not care about what people think of you to get the right people to care about you. You know what I mean? Isn't that like kind of a weird thing?
Wait, can you explain that a little bit more?
So if I'm trying to be something I'm not, people that I probably don't really care about are going to want to be around me. Whereas if I'm trying to be, you know, authentic, I'm trying to do my coffee business, I'm trying to fucking record music, and I'm trying to like play cool shows and just do what fulfills my needs and what makes me happy. Yeah. Chances are I'm going to be surrounded by people who support that. So I think that when you try to fit into something that you're not, that's not you, true to who you are, you make yourself more miserable because you're going to be surrounded by people that you don't really care about.
It just becomes this whole spiral.
Yeah. And, you know, that might not always be the case, but I found that in my own life.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oops, sorry. Is this thing on?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I when I worked in the kitchen, especially, man, it was like such a toxic environment, awful. And I felt like the only way I was able to survive for a long time was to just adapt. And I was fucking miserable. And then I was like, man, I'm better than this. I don't need to do this, you know? Not like I'm better than them, but I'm better than the person that I'm trying to be.
Yeah. That's a beautiful distinction too. It's a very important distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah, is not making the judgment saying I'm better than these other people that are around here. But no, I'm better than the person that I'm trying to be when I'm with them. Yeah. And that's very important.
Yeah, I just felt like I wasn't being me. And I hated it. I hated it. It was miserable. And I started searching for I used to before I started working at the studio, I used to go to that coffee shop that I learned how to basically interact with humans. And I found online that there was these like business seminars, right? People teaching you like things about business or marketing. And I found a bunch of things online, like articles about like touring and making connections and all this stuff and books. I would wake up at like 9 every day. I would drive to the coffee shop and I would drink coffee and I would sit there and study. I had notebooks that I would write in when I did the business seminar classes and stuff until 4 p.m. Dang. And then I would go walk across the street to the place that I worked. I'd close the kitchen, you know, get out at like 1 a.m., go home, you know, take a shower, sleep, wake up, do it again. Because that's what made me happy. Yeah. That's what I enjoyed doing. Yeah. Because I felt like I was taking my life into my own hands, where I was like, I've always wanted to learn about business. Yeah. And I don't want to go to school for it. Yeah. So what do I do?
Yeah. You can learn so freaking much. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I realized, like, oh, I can just look up literally anything. And that's kind of where I made the discoveries of, like, people doing, like, webinars and stuff like that. And I was like, this is so cool.
Oh, it's the shit. It's nuts.
It's so cool. And that's kind of what that was, like, the start of my driving force. You know what I mean? So I thought that was awesome. And I didn't care. I didn't like, I would tell people that and they'd be like, all right, like that sounds fucking wicked boring. And I was like, yeah, well, more for me, I guess.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Sick.
If you love it, you love it.
That's it.
Yeah. It's like, I would be bored as hell if I wasn't working and constantly doing something I loved. Like, I get up at 4 or 5 every morning. I'm in bed by like 10 or 11. And I fill my day with this, with editing audio, with learning drums, I'm actually in school, so with schoolwork, with working, all of this stuff to better myself because that's what I love.
Totally.
It's that personal development and bettering myself every single day.
Yeah.
And people look at me and they're like, you do what? You must hate your life. And I'm like, no, my life couldn't get too much better. It could, but not a whole lot better than it is right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty great. I love who I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah. And there's a distinction that I want to make for people trying to do their own thing. I feel like entrepreneurship right now is kind of like a fad, right? It's in style, kind of. You know, there's a lot of people trying.
There's a lot of entrepreneurs, yeah.
Yeah, and those people, I still, that's dope. My thing is like, if you're not happy doing it, just don't do it.
Yeah,
because no one's gonna be upset with you if you don't try to do your own business or whatever. Yeah, it's just, again, this goes back to the thing I was talking about with anxiety and stuff. It's all about what works for you. There's not a set equation. If there was, we wouldn't have half the problems we have in life. But it's about like what fuels you and do that. There's people that make a shit ton of money playing video games.
Blows my mind. When I realized that, it blew my mind.
Crazy, 100%, right?
Yeah.
How many people get shit on for locking themselves in their room and playing videos? So many, right? But if that person comes out of their room and they're like, "Hey, mom, dad, I have $1 million in my bank account. I'm gonna go buy a house." They're gonna go, "What? Yeah. Excuse me?" That's the thing, is that it's just be smart about whatever you're doing. Or if you love working 40 hours a week, you make enough money to pay your rent, and you love to like go out partying with your friends and, you know, doing whatever, shopping, anything. If that makes you happy, fucking do it. Just don't hurt anyone in the process. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there are people for all walks of life and all different lifestyles. Just whatever you feel is best for you, just do that. It literally doesn't matter. Like, I just think people should just do whatever they think is best for their well-being and just do that.
Do you think social media has dampened that, or at least has dampened that?
I think so. Social media is a very interesting thing for me because I think that it's extremely beneficial and extremely toxic at the same time. And I think it's all about perspective on it. Your perspective.
Okay. Enlighten me. I'm so intrigued.
So, obviously, you can use social media as a platform to do literally anything.
Anything.
You can literally have you can have a website and be making shit in your house. And if you have enough Instagram followers and post cool enough content, people will buy your stuff and you'll have a business.
It's nuts what you can do with social media from a business perspective.
It's absolutely insane. At the same time, I think that there is a lot of people who will try to like post stuff for likes or you know, whatever. Like, they search for the acceptance there, which that doesn't make me very happy. So I can't say what makes other people happy. But I think that I think also social media has kind of deterred like our ability to talk to people just face to face.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I think that's just...
I bring that up in every single episode intentionally.
But it's ironic because we are on a podcast, you know what I mean? So it's like... That's my point, is that it's such a situational thing. Yeah. Where like, if you're constantly checking Instagram and you're like, man, I wish I was in Miami on the beach, or I wish that I was out partying with these celebrities, or... I wish that I was on this sick ass tour with like from this photographer. It's like, one, like, you're not. So fucking either figure out a way to get there or don't do it. Two, like, chances are the person posting that picture isn't doing as great as they say that they are. Yeah. There's been so many times where like me, myself, I've been on tour. This is a perfect example. Been on tour literally have fucking $7 in my checking account, and I'm like posting like we had like 5 people come out to the show the night before, posting on social media being like, man, fucking what, Virginia last night, you were crazy. New York, you're up next. Show me what you got. You know what I mean? It's like, it's almost like,
I get it.
But you can't sell a product that's like, thanks to the 5 people that came out, like, hope that we have a great attendance again in New York. People are going to go, I don't want to see that fucking band.
Exactly.
So, and it sucks that it has to be like that. I wish that it was like, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. I guess you could be like, hey, it was sick to have even one person come out to a show in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff always blew my mind too. And also, you'd show up to a venue and they'd be like, like a piece of plywood on the ground. They're like, that's the stage.
Yeah.
Those shows, you're always loading in and everyone's looking at each other like
is
oh boy, did we sign up for this? Okay, shit, here we go. And those shows almost always pop off.
Those are always crazy. The best ones.
It's so crazy.
God, those are the ones that stick out in your mind the most. Every single time.
It's so wild. It blows my mind, dude. Like, I think we played like in the back, one of the coolest shows ever. Played in the back of like it was a coffee shop in Oklahoma.
Oh, hilarious. Okay.
Yeah, called the what was it called? I don't remember what it was called. Dang. Anyways.
Yeah.
So I show up and I'm like, this is sick. I'm playing a coffee shop. Fuck yeah, let's go. We loaded, so we have to load
This was like a hardcore band, right?
No, this was actually this was like an indie.
Okay, this makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So showed up and we're playing on like this rickety stage and like there's no sound really. Like it's just like a microphone.
Yep.
And we're
They're like, yeah, we have a PA and they have a mic connected to a little amp. You're like,
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we're like, fuck, man, what are we about to get into right now? So I go and like I just like get all my stuff set up. I go to the coffee shop. Coffee shop's sick as fuck. So nice in there. All the baristas were so cool and the vibe was awesome. And I'm like drinking coffee, just chilling for a while. Doors opened up. And I'm like, we're like playing like kind of soon. I want to see some of the other bands. And like, I walk out and there's like the room is like packed. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And that show was so sick. So sick. And like, that's the thing is it's just, it blows my mind every time that stuff happens. Cause it's like, you almost like stop taking yourself seriously and allow yourself to just like, hey, I'm going to just like have fun, make the best of it. And those are always the best shows.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. When a couple years ago, I played up in Canada. You actually gave me the gig. With the Very Reverend, I believe the name was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we played a very similar situation. Yeah. And we showed up and there was just this art studio. And I'm like, this is interesting. Never played in an art studio. This is going to be like barely had a sound, anything set up. I'm like, okay, well, and I went through the same exact process. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a really like odd show. And then I think there were like 4 bands on the bill too.
Yeah.
And then like 20 minutes before the show starts, we get out of the car, we're heading in. And the place is packed. Like, you can barely move shoulder to shoulder with people. And everyone is there super stoked, super supporting every single band that played. And it was one of the most fun shows I've played in years. It was absolutely amazing.
Damn, that's sick.
Oh, dude, it was so incredible.
That's awesome.
At a fucking art studio.
Yeah.
Like, who would have thought? But
Trust me.
Yeah.
Been there. I played loaded into a skate park. And when I say
into a skate park,
an indoor skate park in Florida.
Interesting. Did you guys play in like the pool area?
No. Dude, when I say skate park, they had like 2 quarter pipes and like a rail, and it was like,
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, like no, it was. You ever see like an old dirty garage and like the concrete's like super wavy and like it's just like even if you sweep the ground it's still dirty.
Yeah.
That was this place.
That's hilarious.
And like we it was on Halloween, ironically, when we played. And for some fucking reason the owner of the venue, skate park, whatever you want to call it, he had like a bunch of costumes. He was like, you know, we anticipated playing for like younger crowd.
Yeah.
And all the bands we were touring with were like, nah, we don't want to dress up. And all of us were like,
hell yeah.
Fuck yeah, we want to dress up.
Absolutely.
And people remembered us from that.
That's hilarious.
Because we were just like, we don't care, whatever.
Exactly.
Let's just have fun. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? Throw the fucking egos aside. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Dude, I had like whatever was left of the Halloween pickings. And like I think my bass player was a stormtrooper. Vocalist was a gorilla in a full gorilla suit.
Oh damn!
Yeah,
dude, that's like intense.
Oh yeah,
because you're moving around.
No,
and like...
this we didn't half-ass it at all. Like we were like, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna fucking do this.
Wow.
Yes.
Serious respect.
My guitar player had the Burger King outfit. The whole thing, dude.
How did he hold the guitar?
I don't.
What the hell?
He had the whole Burger King outfit, and I dressed up as some. I remember telling everyone that I didn't have any pants with my outfit. It was just like the shirt and the hair and the hat or whatever. So I told everyone that I was Amish from the waist up.
I remember seeing all these photos on Instagram.
Yeah,
it looked insane.
Yeah,
it looked like so much fun.
And that's the thing is that like it was almost like. Instead of being like, oh man, I wish the show was going to be like fucking packed and whatever, there's like 30, 40 kids there, which is still great. That's awesome. That's a great turnout. But we were just like, let's just fucking, let's send it. Who cares?
That's
let's
what I'm
have
talking
fun.
about.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Who cares? So yeah, I just think be open to whatever life throws at you. And sometimes like when things are shitty, and you get offered something, even if you're like, nah, sometimes like you should just say you know? Like I probably, my guess would be that my mood probably wasn't awesome that day, and everyone would want to, like, my band members were so into the idea. And I was like, I'm like,
yes.
And I'm like, I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Whatever. Let's fucking, if we're all going to do it, let's all do it. Let's do it and have fun.
Yeah.
And completely turn that whole day around. So it's almost like you don't allow yourself to like experience like such cool things. And it makes you think about like all of the times that you missed out on because you're like either like, nah, I'm too cool for that, or like you just were like in your own head about it, you know? Is that interesting?
It is so interesting how that works. Growing up, I had this huge problem with saying no. And so like I was so terrified of everything, so I'd be like, do you want to do that? I'm like, no. Do you want to do that? No. Do you want to do that? No. I have my own comfortable little bubble. I'm fine with this. I don't like new experiences. I don't like getting hurt. I know I'm safe here.
Yep.
Like that was my life until I want to say until I was like 18 or 19. Super, super sheltered, both imposed and personally because I made that choice. And from there, like I remember hearing, which ties into a lot of what you've talked about today, like your life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. If you want to have a memorable life, you have to do something every day that is worth remembering, taking that step out. And so I started taking these steps and embracing and being like, in all honesty, no, I definitely don't want to get dressed up as a half Amish right now as I play. This is going to be exhausting. But you know what? fuck it, let's do it. Let's go for it. And you have just in practically, you have so much more fun. Like
Yeah.
life, it becomes so much more enjoyable.
Because it becomes like it's not serious anymore.
It's exactly.
Exactly. That's where it becomes sick, is when you're like, oh, life isn't supposed to be serious all the time. Cool.
Yeah, doesn't need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna kind of change it up on you a little
Let's
bit
do it.
too. Because I just had this thought pop into my head.
Let's run.
What if you take like a public figure in history, right? President. We'll say like Martin Luther King, right?
Okay, cool.
What would happen to the world if he was crippled by anxiety? And let's say he didn't act on some of the things that he did. How different would the world be right now? You know what I'm saying?
That would be, it would literally be a different world.
So you think about like, if there's like a big picture idea that you have, you're almost like, it's almost like doing an injustice to not do what you feel needs to be done. You know, there's been plenty of times where I'm like, man, I would love to do that, but I am not cut out for that shit. You know, until I eventually learned and still continue to learn, like I'm my only limitation. And he's the same way, man. Could you imagine if he was so anxious to give the I Have a Dream speech that he just didn't do that?
Yeah.
Could you imagine that piece of history just being fucking gone, never existed?
That would be insane.
Right?
That would be insane.
Yeah.
Like the world as we know it would be so different. I can't even.
Or like Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
You know, like some shit like that. It's like, what if they were too scared to stand up and they just never did?
Yeah.
Because they also you have to think not only what they did for themselves and the direct people around them, but the impact that they've had on people even now.
Country, yeah.
You know? So like everything would be different.
And that was just like that as far as our history goes, that wasn't even that far back.
No.
The further ahead we go in our history, the more that impact will have.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
And you think about like if there's like some kid sitting on a school bus thinking about like the ice caps melting or something, had this idea, right? Like, man, what if I did this and it could like reverse the effect of the ice caps melting? But that person was like too anxious or too depressed or too scared to like do something about it. Like that would just never exist.
Damn.
And that's what I'm talking about. And the same thing applies with like painting, writing a song, any of that stuff, man. Like it's all like you are creating something that never existed.
Yeah. Like if Van Gogh if he did his first painting and someone was like, that's shit, that's horrible, and he was like, well, I guess I'm done.
I guess
Tapping
I'm never
out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? You can't.
I can't.
No.
Like physically, I can't imagine what that would be like not having any of these figures or not having what they've created.
But that's what I'm saying. So what if you are the next figure and you have no idea? You know, and you have these ideas in your head that are like, man, this needs to fucking happen.
Yeah. And every single person could be that next person.
Correct. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you, dude.
Crazy, right?
That's insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why I think it's important to, like, act in the moment. You're going to fuck shit up. I think we already covered that. Like, life is literally about fucking stuff up and learning from it, right?
Yeah,
that's how you figure yourself out and figure out whatever, you know? I fucked up so many things in my life, man.
Same, dude.
We do like fucking 10 episodes on that. But it's it's not about like you fucking up. It's about you learning from it. That's the important part. And I think that just gets lost sight of. I don't think people think about like it's instead of win or lose. One of my coaches always told me this. Instead of win or lose, it's win or learn. That's it.
Yeah.
So you don't really ever lose. You're still making progress forward when you lose. And I don't think people like understand that.
It's a very rare perspective to have.
Yeah. So I think like I want to imply that more, you know, with the people that I interact with. It's like someone God, it was the other day. I think I ordered a pizza. And it got made different than I ordered it. And I remember, and I like took a bite and I was like, oh, you know what? It wasn't a pizza. It was a shake from Tropical Smoothie or whatever.
Ooh, I do Tropical Smoothie.
Yeah. So I ordered this peanut butter cup shake that they have. It's like peanut butter and like protein and stuff. And I got something, I tasted it, and I was like looking at the menu, and I was like, this isn't what I ordered. And the person that I was with was like, oh, do you want to say something about it? And I took another sip, and I was looking at the menu, and I was like, and I saw they had this thing called Mocha Madness, which is like coffee. And I was like, fuck no, I don't want to return this. Are you kidding me? I'm getting this every time now, you know? So it's like, and that person probably didn't even realize that they fucked up. Yeah. You know, but it's like, just take life like that, you know? It's just roll with the punches. Sometimes it's going to suck, and sometimes you're going to be really surprised. You know? That's you know, that's important, I think.
Yeah. Being able to just roll with the punches is crucial, because the punches, I think we have this idea that the punches will stop coming at some point. And like, if we only get a little better, if we only have a little more money, if we only develop this relationship a little further, then the punches of life will stop coming, at least in this area. And that doesn't happen. Like, life is gonna beat your shit dry. Like, you're gonna get beaten again and again and again. And if you have the ability to just roll with it and not put up this fight, not to try and resist everything, but just be like, you know what? What's going to happen is going to happen. Let's go with it. Let's see where this takes me. Yep. Completely changes how you go throughout life and the outcome of it.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Not a lot of people have these perspectives, man.
No. No. And that's the thing, is that if I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people think I'm a fucking weirdo, I can sense
you
it.
Are. Yeah. You are.
100%.
It's amazing, and you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that I know that. I know that I'm fucking weird. So why am I going to try to change that? It makes me different from literally everyone else. I'm different than every other person on the face of the planet. I think that's sick.
That's freaking sick.
Yeah. I'm the only person that does exactly what I do. That's it. No one else does exactly what I do.
That's fair.
That's sick.
That's insane.
That's so cool. I think that's so fucking cool. You know what I mean? Now, I am similar to millions of people, I'm sure, but they do not do exactly what I do. And I think that's dope. There's people that are going to be way better at things than I am. I'm going to be better at things than some people, but I'm completely different than everyone else.
Yeah. Instead of striving to be the best at this specific thing that someone else is already great at, or that you just want to because it'll be this social thing, a social standing or status, just looking at yourself and saying, you know what? This is what I like. This is what I'm good at. This is what I want to do. So screw everything else. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, not only that, but it's like more than this is what I'm good at. It's more, this is what I like. I'm sure that people would taste my coffee and they'd be like, this is dog shit cup of coffee. And I'd say, cool. How do I make it better? What would you like to be different in it? And if they give me stuff that needs to be different, I'll figure out how to make it better. But I appreciate those comments. You know, when like writing music. We would be like in the studio, what do you think this drum part should be? I'll think for a second. And I'm like, it'd be fucking sick if there was this, right? And the producer will go, absolutely not.
Yes, 100%.
And you kind of like, just like go, oh, fuck, okay.
Yeah, okay, your
sick.
heart just, like, okay.
But the thing is that going through that, I've become so much better at writing.
100%.
It's so crazy.
100%.
That's the thing that you have to be able to take like criticism too.
I think people misuse criticism a lot, and I think this ties back into the hatred thing, like how we have a very judgmental and negative borderline hatred culture right now, especially online, and that is really prominent through criticism because people don't use criticism how it's intended. Where criticism is intended to separate the shaft from the wheat, so to speak, to separate what's good from the stuff that's crap. Right? You take something, you throw it in the fire so that all the crap burns away and you have what's left in the solid gold, right? And that's what criticism is supposed to do. You're like, okay, this is what's good. Now, this drum beat that you were thinking of, no, that's shit. We're throwing that out now. What you need is focus on this. You need to serve the song in this way.
Yeah.
And like, that's good criticism. People tend to use criticism nowadays just for the sake of judgment because it's the cool thing or it's the thing they're supposed to do is to judge and hate on everyone else in the form of criticism.
100%. One of my best friends ever, one of my best friends on the fucking planet will tell me every single time I do something stupid. He'll tell me every time I need to get set straight about something, or if I'm like in a predicament and I'm like, man, I don't know, like if I'm in the right or the wrong. If I'm in the wrong, he'll be like, dude, you're doing this. Stop fucking doing this. This is why this is happening. Do this. And I'll be like, fuck, thank you.
Exactly. It's like, thank you.
That's it. And there's nothing like there's nothing wrong with criticism. It's just
100%.
Yeah. Like obviously if someone's like, you suck.
Yeah. It's like, how is that helpful?
That's not helpful. But if someone's like, hey, that wasn't great. Here's why. And here's how you make it better.
Golden.
That's awesome.
World is better.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's sick.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be a quarter of the person that I am today without shit like that all the time. Like, and it sucks because if you think you're good at something, you need to swallow your fucking ego sometimes and be like, cool, I can still get better at this. You know what I mean? 100%. Especially in an art form.
Yeah.
And I mean, quite honestly, I think everything's kind of an art form, Like, I think roasting coffee is an art form. I think, like, setting up a way to, like, film a podcast and mic it and, like, finding a space for it. Like, it's all art. It's artistic because you're finding a solution to a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's sick,
Yeah.
People want to get caffeinated, and I want to give them really good coffee.
That's not a bad combo.
That's a problem that I can solve,
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have very unique perspective on a lot of things, and I try to lead my life by my emotions in the best way that I can. By positive emotion, I will say that. And I think that's like you're kind of like your heart's compass. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people, again, I know we've talked about it a lot, but I think a lot of people focus too much on other people. This is gonna sound harsh, but I literally don't give a fuck about anyone else. And I don't mean like I want to help everyone.
Yeah.
But when it comes to me doing what makes me happy, I don't give a fuck about anyone else. I don't care. It means nothing to me. Like, if I cared about what other people thought of, I would have went to college. I would have fucking made my mom happy. She would have loved to see her son go to college and not have any tattoos. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
But I know she loves me to death. And she's honestly, her and my dad, I'm so grateful that they've supported me. I know not everyone has that. They've helped me a lot. But I've also had a lot of friends that have told me that I'm a fucking crazy person. And then 6 months later, when I get back from touring or they try my coffee, they're like, whoa.
They're like, what the hell?
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, it just, everyone works a little differently. Sometimes it's drastic. And either those people just need a little more time to figure out exactly what you're trying to do. You know, like I said before, me telling people like I want to deliver coffee to people on a motorcycle, they're like, what? You lost your fucking mind?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I have, and I love it.
Exactly.
I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be sick. You know what I mean? It's gonna be sick.
100%.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Right. So like coming to the terms with this idea that when you try something, you are gonna suck. Most people are probably gonna hate on you.
Yep.
And that is the reality of it. But if you never try, you'll never get better. You'll never know if you enjoyed it. And you'll never be able to come back and be like, hey, this is what I can show for all of my hard work.
Yep.
None of those will happen if you don't try.
Yeah. And like when I was doing the business seminars like online and stuff in the coffee shop, for a hot minute there, I was like, man, I want to be like a marketer for a business. And then I started really looking into that, and I was like, wow, that sounds fucking terrible. Like, I do not want to fucking do that. But I still learned a lot about marketing.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the thing is like, I've tried, I've used the same examples, but I've tried painting. I can barely draw a stick figure.
Yep.
Doesn't really do anything for me. But I still learned how to draw a stick figure. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something to take away from everything. Fixing my car. I'm not a mechanic, but I learned how to fix something. Excuse me. It's allergy season.
It is that time of year.
Yeah, I know.
Damn, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's crazy, man. I don't know. Like, what for you? What's some like life experiences or life stories that you feel like people might not necessarily like want to hear, but you think is important for people to hear? You know what I'm saying? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot right now.
This is my job to do that to you, so I appreciate it. Back and forth. Yeah, because we don't go over any of this ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's funny. A lot of what we talked about is exactly how I would answer. A lot of what we talked about today. Because I don't get into these conversations on this podcast enough. In this sense, I don't talk about what we talked about today enough on this podcast. I think a lot of people, they need to get out of their comfort zone. They need to take that step. And in order to do that, you need to know ahead of time that it's going to suck, but it's not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah.
If you want to grow, it is going to suck and it's going to be very uncomfortable. And that's how you know you're doing it right. When it feels really uncomfortable and you really don't want to do it and your skin is crawling and you're regretting every minute up until then and you're getting super anxious, your hands shaking, your heart's racing, that's when you know you're doing it right.
Yeah.
It's when you know you're moving forward and you're growing. And if you want to move forward in anything in life, you're gonna have to go through that, and it's gonna suck. Knowing that ahead of time makes such a difference.
Yeah.
But it's so fucking worth it.
Yeah. And I think another thing that is kind of important is that there are things that you're gonna love in life, whether it's a relationship, a business, a hobby. There's gonna be things about it that you fucking hate.
100%.
but it's still the thing that you love. Isn't that like, it's a very weird concept to grasp, because I think a lot of people, and this is something that took me a long time to figure out too. People are like, I met this guy that I used to work with. He built this like custom Iron Man suit, like a legit like fucking metal, like crazy.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, the end product of that is so sick. But making that must have been fucking horrible.
It must have been so much work and so detail oriented. And
not only that, but imagine how much shit he fucked up, and he was just like, man, why am I doing this? But that's the thing. Isn't that crazy? That is crazy to me. That like, even if you don't love every single part of the process, you can still love the whole thing, right?
It's
like
weird. Anyone in a serious relationship, I think they can understand
totally.
that.
But you can apply
like,
you can apply that same thing over almost anything in your life.
Yeah.
Right? Like touring. What? Yeah.
Anyone who's been on a tour, that 100%.
You're gonna fucking tell me that going out for a month and making no money and you're like hoping people buy a t-shirt so you can eat.
Yeah.
And you're sleeping in a van you haven't showered in fucking forever, and you haven't had a bed to sleep on. Your phone's gonna fucking die.
Daily experience when you're on tour.
And then, why do you do it? So you can get up on stage and fucking get that 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes if you're lucky, of just pure fucking joy of something you're good at.
100%.
So it's crazy, you know?
It's so bizarre.
Like, sometimes it takes me fucking so long to roast coffee, to the point where I'm like, fuck this. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Right? But there's nothing that makes me happier than me bringing coffee to people and them hitting me up on like Instagram, Facebook, my phone, whatever. And they're like, this coffee is incredible.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it just makes me so happy that I'm like, I gave that person something that they love. And that makes it, that like fuels my thing to be like, yeah, I'll roast coffee literally 24/7. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I just think all of it's so cool, man. I just, life is so fucking cool. You just need to like look for it. You need to look for how cool it is.
Yeah.
And it's all your perspective. If you think life sucks, it sucks.
Yeah.
If you think life is dope, life's dope. That's
it's
it.
It's literally a Reliant K lyric. I love Reliant K for their lyrics. And one of them, it's one of my favorite songs. The chorus is, when life seems to unfold, perspective is a lovely hand to hold.
Yeah.
Simple, beautiful.
And effective.
So effective.
Yeah. That's sick.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, it's good. It's so gold. But yeah, like having perspective is actually probably the other thing I would say.
Yeah.
Is like, don't get caught up on the little things.
Yeah.
Every day there's going to be tiny things that will ruin your day, quote unquote. There's going to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour maybe that you will hate, that you got yelled at by your boss, you got yelled at by a customer service. That happens more than people would like to admit. Yeah, exactly. Anyone working in customer service, you understand, like, that's rough, and that can ruin your day. It has many times has ruined my days. But looking at that and saying, okay, you know what? That was a one interaction. How many interactions did I have today? I interacted with 500 people. That was one. Am I going to let that one really change how the entire day went? Or am I going to say, okay, that was one interaction. That put me in a pretty sour mood. I'm going to take a minute, breathe, recompose myself, because you need to after something like that. And then I am going to go and improve someone else's day and actively go and change the world around you. Yeah. That will change your perspective faster than anything else.
Totally. Even humor is a really good way to...
I wish I was better at humor. I actually don't love humor, but I love the effects of humor, and I wish I were better at it.
See, like, there's been so many times where, like, go to hand a customer a drink and you fucking drop it.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah. 100%.
You can see, there's a guy that I worked with, whenever he saw someone mess something up, he was the most, like, cool under pressure guy ever.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't face this guy.
Love those people.
Right? Just crazy.
Mm.
If he caught you fucking something up,
Yes.
he would make fun of you so bad for it.
Yes.
To the point where sometimes it would be like, yo, fuck you. Hate you.
Yeah.
There were some times where he would be like, hey, good job spilling that drink in front of that customer. I'd be like,
Yeah.
I ain't pleased, buddy. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like,
100%.
you have to like you kind of just have to like eat that and just
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
that person didn't die.
Exactly.
It's fine.
Worst things in the world are happening.
Totally.
In a spilled cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm definitely not saying like go like spill drinks. It doesn't matter. But it's like,
Yeah.
if you mess up,
yeah.
if you can't find a positive out of it, just make it into something funny.
Exactly.
Just do something. You
It's
know?
true.
Like, it doesn't need to be dark days all the time.
It's true.
Like, if you have those days, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. There's days where I'm like, I'm just going to survive today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will be better. Today, I'm going to just do everything I need to do and go home and restart tomorrow.
Exactly.
That's fine. That's fine to have those days. And then when you have those days where you're like, I'm killing it today, fucking kill it. You know what I mean? Go out and fucking really kill it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a speaker who I'm sure you're familiar with is Gary Vee.
100%.
So he really changed my perspective, and that's really what he's good at, is changing people's perspectives to be like, all that matters is what you think, you know, and it's not even selfish. It's more like righteous. You know what I mean? And if you have people who don't like what you're doing, they're probably not meant to be in your life anyways.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying like go torch relationships and stuff, but it's like, if you're not happy, fix it. It's not another person's fault that you're unhappy. You know, like, there are certain situations where that could be true, but, you know, at like a job, you know, I personally don't think it's very hard to find a job if you're willing to do it. If you went to college for a specific trade, and you know, you're trying to find a job in your area, that is probably fucking very hard. But if you're cool with fucking making pizza or serving coffee, construction, dog, you can get fucking paid doing anything.
Exactly.
You can make money on your fucking phone. You can become an Uber driver if you have a car.
Yeah.
If you have a car, you can make money.
100%.
Crazy.
You can make a decent money doing an Uber driver too.
Totally. You can do you can do surveys online and make money.
Yeah.
Literally just Google it. Google it. It's fucking crazy.
It's nuts to think like that's the world we live in.
Yeah. It's
and
so
like,
crazy.
Right? So like when people complain about their job, it's like there are so many other options out there. If you really hate what you're doing so much, there are so many other options. Something that'll be not only better for everyone around you at your work, because you're bringing everyone down if you hate it that much, but better for you and better for what you want to do, and you'll fit in better and you'll be happy.
Totally. 100%. Like I said, just like be a fucking weirdo. Who cares?
Absolutely.
Literally, who fucking cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Just be fucking weird. Just be weird. Who cares, man? I think that shit's dope anyways.
100%.
So.
100%.
Yeah.
Damn. Well,
it's crazy.
It is nuts.
It's so crazy.
I would love to keep this going, but I'm not going to lie. That was my third cup of coffee today, and I got to go pee so bad. So we're going to call it.
Sounds
Jake,
good, man.
my man. I'm going to have you back on here for sure.
Yeah.
This was great.
Man.
Yeah. Thanks, bro.
Yeah. Thank you, man.